Okay, so hello everyone. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at the print and input functions. This is lesson 1, and in this lesson we're looking at the print and input functions, and basically these two functions are basically the core of Python. So when you're learning Python, you first learn about this before you move on to the next stage. So in this series of Python Made Practical, I'm going to be showing you a bunch of Python stuff and converting it into a basically an analogical form. Oof, I butchered that up. So in a way that makes you understand the concept from a real life perspective. So in this series, in this lesson, we're going to be looking at the print function and input. So print basically just prints out some text. Okay, so the way you do a print function is you write the word print, then you write brackets, then you write double quotations. If you're using a repl.it, which is an online-based IDE, then it will autocomplete the end bracket and the end double quotation mark for you. However, if you're using Atom or Python idle, then you may need to autocomplete it yourself. So yeah. So the way the print function works, as I said, is print brackets double quotation marks, and then you write your text here. I'll just put that. And then if we click the run button, write your text here. So it just types anything that you put between the brackets and the double quotations. So I could write anything. I could write cheese is bad. Don't hate me for that. Yep. And it prints it out as long as it's in double quotation marks and brackets. Okay, so we'll just put hello world right now because that's standard. So that's how a print function works. It's really simple. You just write the print, then you put brackets, then you put double quotation marks, then you put your text. Okay? So you should have no problems with that. Now we're going to cover inputs. So an input, so basically one thing I might want to make clear before we move on to input is when you know Python is finished. So on repl.it, if you see this orange kind of arrow pointing to the right, then that means the program's finished and you have to run it again to do the program again. Okay, so we could put an input. The way you do an input is you write the word input, then you put brackets, just brackets, if you want a blank input. If you want writing before the input, then you put your writing there with double quotations. So hi, for example. So input is pretty easy to understand. To understand it, just think to yourself, what is input? Like, what do you think input means? So when I think of input, I think of like putting something in. So something that you put in something else. So that's exactly how it works in Python. The way it works is put something in the you put something in the input, and then if you add extra code, you can use that input to determine what should be done. So as you can see, if I run this, instead of with the orange arrow that's pointing towards the right, we have this, where you can input your own text. So I could input anything I wanted. I could put input text, I could put some random thing. There we go. And then that's the end. Because we haven't done anything to the input. So the input isn't really being done. So there's nothing about the input that would help us because we haven't included extra code. Print just prints out text. It doesn't really help you otherwise. So you can't really use input. So that's how print and input works. I'll just show you some other things that come in handy. So you need to know about variables. So what are variables? I know the word variable sounds like super complicated, but it's not. Variable just means something that means something else. So if that still sounds confusing, look at this. So I could put so if I make a variable can be anything you want. So my opinion on global warming is a variable. It's bad. So my opinion on global warming is equal to the text it's bad. So nothing too hard, is it? It's just this has now been given a name. It's bad. That's some text, isn't it? So we can print my opinion on global warming. Forget the typo. So as you can see, it's bad. So that's what a variable does. It just stands for some text or some input or whatever. Okay? So that's how a variable works. So as you can see, I made a typo. If I correct that typo, the whole thing goes wrong because I've defined what my opinion on global warming is, but I haven't defined what my opinion on global warming is. So you have to make sure the correct wording. So if there's a big variable, a big amount of letters for a variable, you might think about copying and pasting. So as you can see, no errors there. By the way, if there's an error, Python will either underline it in red or underline it in green. So that's a variable, and it should be not to be too hard. So now, variables don't just stand for text. They can stand for an input, can't they? So my opinion on global warming is equal to input. Okay? So you could print what's your name? This is a very simple one. My my name. So it's ideal to have your although variables can be anything, it's ideal to have your variables relating to what that variable does. So here the input is my name. So my name is equal to an input. So you could put print my name. So whatever you input, it doesn't have to be what the Python chooses, what my code chooses. It could be anything you like. So what's your name? Oh, sorry, that was a typo. And it prints out my name. Or you could print out, and here's where I introduce something new. My name, no, okay. Your name is, okay? So I've introduced the plus. The plus isn't actually too hard. It's just adding this to this. So your name is, and then we're adding what the input, because my name is equal to an input, right? We know that because this variable is standing for an input. So my name is, your name is, whatever you input. So your name is Akshith. There you go. So that is print and input covered. So in lesson 2, we'll be covering if, elephant, else. Stay tuned to find out more. That's it for this video, but thank you for watching. See you in the next one.